Nothing exciting this time, no weird voices, no accents. I'm just going to tell you what's going on with inscribed angles so that you know. Boom, inscribed angles, as you can see, is the topic. Now, here's a picture of a circle. We know that this angle here is 40 degrees. We call that the central angle because it's the center. And we know that the measure of that arc right there is 40 degrees because this and this are the same. An inscribed angle starts on the edge of the circle. So it's not in the middle. That's a central angle. It's the edge. Edge inscribed. And the nice thing is that it's always exactly half of this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Using the wrong color there, bud. It's always half of this arc or half of the central angle. Okay. So the measure of AB is 40 degrees. We know the measure of that arc is the same as the central angle, which is what I just said. An inscribed angle starts on the edge of the circle. It's half of that arc every time. That's all you've got. That's the only new thing you've got to know for this whole section. Is that inscribed angle is half of that arc. And then we can get some different questions on it. But so for example, if I said, hey look, this inscribed angle is 82, you should know that it's half of this arc right here. And oh, wow, just pretend that was a good arc. And so you would say, hey, the measure of AB is just 82 times 2, which is 164 degrees. That's all you have to do. So really, most of the time, it all involves either multiplying by 2 if I gave you that angle, or you're going to divide by 2 if I gave you the arc. Right? So if this is 200, you know x. And when I say the intercepted arc, I'm literally just talking about, from this goes from here to where it touches on the other side, 200 degrees. So we know that since it's half of the intercepted arc, you're just going to divide it by 2. Right. I might also ask you sometimes, not a question like this, but what if I wanted to know if this was y and this was z? What is y plus z equal to? And so on a question like that, you just got to remember that full circle, 360 degrees, a half circle, 180. So if this is 200 degrees of the circle, y plus z is what's remained, which is 360 minus 200, which equals 160 degrees. Boom. 90 degrees. If you double 90 degrees, you get 180, which means this is the diameter. So something to note is that a 90-degree angle will always intercept that diameter, which is actually really, really useful. So once again, it's hard to tell what I was doing here. So basically what happened was I was trying to find the center of this circle, right? So I was like, let's just make a 90-degree angle. I'll do it again this time, right? And that's just the easiest way for me to make a 90-degree angle. Bum, 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 bum. Right? So I know from this corner to this corner is a diameter. I missed a little bit. Okay. That's not going to help very much. Da, 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 da. So basically, I know this was the diameter. And if I already drew this diameter here, where they cross, bump, 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 where they cross is the cancel, is the center. So I use this fact that a 90-degree angle gives you the diameter to find the center of a circle all the time. And I'm going to show you guys that in class on a piece of paper because that's a little bit easier. Um, Another type of question you can get is, this is 25 degrees. Right? So from here to here, sorry. Man, I'm all sorts of off today. 25 degrees from here to here. Right? And it intercepts this arc. So this is 50. But if you see, X is touching the same arc, and Y is actually touching the exact same arc. So if they're touching the same arc, this is why I kept saying 25, they're the same thing, right? Which makes sense because they're touching the same arc, so they have to be the same thing because they're half of the same number. Okay. This is the other type of question you can get, these last two, and they're probably the most difficult ones, but still not too bad. All you've got to do is do things one thing at a time. So we know, this is the intercepted arc here, 54, so you got to double that. We know that whole yellow arc is double 54, which is 108. And we know this is 40 degrees of that arc. So if we just subtract what we know is there, that tells us this is 68. Right? So all we did was we doubled that inscribed angle and then took out the part that we knew already. So now for this part to find y, we know that it's 68 plus 50 right there. So if we add those together, we get 118. And then to find y, we're going to divide that by 2 and get 59. Oh, wow. That was maybe the worst 9 I've ever drawn on Photoshop. And that's it. So it's still mostly just dividing by 2, multiplying by 2, just with taking out parts that we know already. Lastly, this whole hot mess of a problem, but like I said, you just do things one thing at a time. We know here to here is double 47. Double 47 is 94. So now you add, you subtract 94 minus 50, and we get 44 here. So now if we want to find y, we're doing literally the exact same thing we just did last time. We know that it's 44 plus 64, which is 108. And the exact same thing we had over here. So we divide that by 2 and we get 54. Now here's the question, is how do we find that last little bit? And that's where I said you have to remember that, you know, this is a straight line. Straight line is 180 degrees. So if you do 94 or 50 plus 44 plus 64, let's just do that. Or 108 plus 50 is another way of thinking of it. Okay, I'm tired of having terrible handwriting on this. I wonder if I can just, oh my gosh, it's just in there thinking. 50, why would it automatically make it white? 50 plus 44 plus 64 equals to 158. So then you do 180 minus 158, which equals to, what, 22? So we know that that little bit that's left right here is 22, right? Because that was 180 degrees and we took out what we knew, which means this is half of that, which is 11. So 99% of this section is multiplying by 2 and dividing by 2. And the rest of it is either adding or subtracting and knowing that a straight line or a semicircle is 180 degrees. That's it.